Well, welcome to Emerge with Purpose, where we explore life, faith, and purpose in a changing world. My name is Garfield Harvey. I'm the lead pastor of Emerge Berkeley in Berkeley, California. And as always, I'm thrilled to be with you. Today, we're focusing on the importance of community and fellowship in our digitally connected age. Whether you're a regular viewer or you're joining for the very first time, thank you for being here. And as always, I ask you to share the stream, and I'll be right back after this brief intro video. Oh, welcome back to Emerge with Purpose. So, today we live in a world where digital connectivity is at an all time high. We can connect with people across the globe with just a few clicks, much as how you're joining right now. Many are joining from across the country, in fact. But in this hyper connected era, we sometimes find ourselves feeling more isolated than ever. And now we tend to say, oh, it's because of COVID that this happened. No, this has been going on for a while. So the question becomes, how do we build and maintain meaningful relationships when so much of our interaction happens online? One of the reasons I actually chose to do a live stream is that I wanted to connect with people who couldn't necessarily make it through our church doors. And so this is another medium. So, how do we build meaningful relationships? Well, let's start by talking about why community and fellowships are so important. And as always, since I'm a pastor, I like to bring us to the Bible and what it says to us because we find wisdom in the Bible. Hebrews 10 24 to 25. And it says, and let us consider one another in order to stir up love and good works, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together, as is the manner of some, but exhorting one another, and so much the more as you see the day approaching. Now, this passage reminds us that gathering together, encouraging one another, and urging each other towards love and good deeds are very important aspects of a healthy community. Now, I must say that although I gave you this Bible verse, it's not just about being a Christian. Even if you're not religious, the principle remains the same. We are stronger together. Community provides us the right support. It provides accountability and a sense of belonging. Because whenever someone feels alone, feels disconnected, having community can help to give this sense of belonging because there's this sense of, again, support and encouragement, but also a genuine care. You feel like someone cares for you. This is the power of community. And it's sometimes something we can cultivate even in our digital age. I just talk about it all the time in terms of just having people watching from a different spectrum. In fact, there's a man, I was going to say a young man, but he's much older than I am. But he lives in a different city, and we always joke about him here that he's our honorary member. He sometimes will say, "I hear you guys are doing this initiative. Here's something I want to give towards it." And so I came today, and there is another gift right here in the office. And so people get a chance to connect with us regardless of if they're in the same space. So even if it's just for someone like that, I try to make sure when I come online that I speak to this person. I speak to people who I know as dedicating time out of their evening to join me live, which is why it was so meaningful for me to join live and not just post a video. because that's a way to cultivate relationship. That even though we're in this virtual space, you can count on me to be here with you in person. Yes, I know things can happen where I'm not live, but I can promise you that 99.9% of the time, I'm here live with you, which is why I'm always pointing to outside and let you know that I'm with you. This is not a rebroadcast. And so it's important to cultivate these relationships. But how do we build a strong community when so much of our interaction is online, right? Digital platforms offer us incredible opportunities to connect with people we've never met. I spoke earlier about this man who've been given things. I met him for the very first time like 3 weeks ago, but he's been involved in our church life for several weeks before that. And so, but building meaningful relationships, it requires intentionality. It really does. And so I want to provide it with some intentional tips, some practical tips for fostering or promoting a sense of community in the digital realm. Number one is consistent engagement, regular interaction. I talk about it. I make sure that I come here each week. Consistency. And so this is our space where we get to talk about different things. And so even for you, you can use things such as Zoom or Google Meet or whatever it might be to host different things because the goal is to create a rhythm of regular connection. So consistency is key. And especially in this summer season, people are traveling. And as they're traveling, they want to know they can find a way to connect with people. So when my church members are traveling, guess what? They get a chance to connect even when they're further away. So consistent engagement. How about this? Authenticity. Be real and open in the interaction. So, which is why I share stories, let you know how my day's been. Sometimes I give insight into my personal life. That's me connecting with you, giving you a chance to know who I am beyond the typical Sunday sermons. So, and so of course, as I'm doing this, these are ways we can connect with people. We're authentic, we're vulnerable in who we are. And talk about intentionality, intentional communication. So when we're doing things, schedule regular connections like these, whether it's through virtual gatherings like prayer meetings or book clubs or just fellowship nights. There are times when my wife and her family will get together and they'll do whether it's Bible study. Every once in a while, there'll be some games together. So schedule these things. Use the platforms. Use the apps, WhatsApp, or if you're an old school, I would say use the Telegram. Right. So there are ways to connect throughout the week. As a staff, you might use Slack. So there are different things you can do to connect. So intentional communication, but also creating inclusive spaces. Make sure the online community is welcoming, right? I try to talk in such a way where it feels inviting. So I'm always mindful of the different time zones. So I know for the East Coast people that are watching, it's a little bit later. But the ones on the Pacific Standard, I know it's so it's 7:24 right now. So it's always these things where try to be mindful. So create inclusive spaces. And so once you've built an online community, whether it's family, friends, or whoever it might be, the challenge is to always maintain those relationships, right? So active listening. So if you're online, try to listen attentively during your virtual connections. Reflective listening, where you repeat back what you've heard, just to ensure that everyone is on the same page, but to also ensure that you're understanding and you're showing empathy to the conversation. Next is shared activities. Engage in activities like talk about online gaming. Could be your PlayStation or maybe it's Xbox, whatever it is. But you do things that can create this shared space. So those are just a few things you can do in this season. Regular check-ins. I know these things might sound like it's not important, but when you get to a season like this, where for those who might have been in college, maybe high school or middle school, these are the seasons when you're no longer in that everyday space, and so it's easy for people to feel just disconnected from their routine. So it's important to find ways just to keep the connection going, just to let people know that you care for them, right? So how do I make sure my online community stays positive and supportive? Well, create a positive and supportive online community. It starts with what? Setting the tone. Be clear about your community's values and expectations. So encourage these interactions, encourage positive vibe. When I'm teaching in my online classes, I always talk about this is a no, I always say this is a no judgment zone. It's free. We don't judge people around here. We're setting the tone like it's positive. Now you might say, well, what if I feel awkward or uncomfortable sharing personal things? It's normal. You can share little bits about your life or just how you feel. It might start off with just by you saying, this is how my day was, something small. You don't have to share everything all at once. I know social media is getting out of hand sometimes. You go online sometimes and you see things that are just crazy. In fact, it's one of the things where, if I'm being honest, it was very difficult to even teach in this virtual space because social media is sometimes this two-headed sword. In one instance, you're sharing the things that God has put on your heart, whether it's your teachings or what it might be, and it reached the masses. But it doesn't come without the criticism, right? And that's just the age we live in. So I had to make this, this determination, this conscious effort to say, it doesn't matter what I say or what I do, I'm going to be criticized. It is what it is. And so you have to just embrace this with boldness and saying, it is what it is. And that's one of the things that I enjoyed with Dr. Jason Clark in Portland Seminary. The first thing he spoke to us about when we in the doctoral program was the fact that we need to learn to find our voice, and that's something I took to heart from the very first day in grad school. And learn to find my voice. Why? Because you're going to be challenged at the end of the day. And so, with someone like myself having several degrees and I never try to teach from that. I teach from whatever God is saying to me. And sometimes I'm criticized for the way I speak, how fast I speak, how deep my thought is. And I'm like, I don't have to go that deep. Yes, I have the degrees, but I'm not doing this for you in that to prove how intellectual I am. I'm speaking because I believe that God has given me something to share. And so I had to get to that point to say, I'm going to share whatever God is saying, and that's that. And so, whenever we have a platform like this, you have to be comfortable to say, there is someone on the other side of the camera, on the other side of the world, who is looking to hear what God might be saying to them through you. Find your voice. So, be as open as you want, be as vulnerable as you want, but just understand that if God is giving you a voice, if God is giving you something to share, go ahead and share it. In fact, I just embrace, this space with all my flaws that I have. I embrace it. I'm not perfect. I know it. And I realize that when you do things like these in an open forum, you're open to whatever the world is going to say. But guess what? I embrace it. Guess what? Embrace who you are, share what God has given, and I guarantee that someone on the other side is going to appreciate what you have to say. So, as we are in this digital space, don't be afraid to share what God has given you. So that's all I had to say to you tonight. Thank you for joining this week. And I know next week it's going to be what, 4th of July. I don't even know what the date is next. Let me see if I can find a date next Wednesday. I should have checked beforehand, but let's see. Give me a second here. All right. So next week, so Thursday is going to be 4th of July. So we'll be here before that. So I want to pray with you. Lord, thank you for just being with us in this space. We understand that we are living in a digital age, and we all use the space to communicate with people across the globe. I pray, God, that you help us to steward this space wisely. Help us to embrace who we are. And I pray that as we share, that others will find a sense of connectivity, even through a virtual space. We love you, give you praise in Jesus' name. Amen. As always, I just want to thank you so much for being with me in this space. As you can tell, that the summer months I've just been finding or sharing things, I should say, that will help us throughout the summer. And as we get towards maybe August or so, we'll ramp up just different teachings that will be in alignment with some of the things that we're sharing in our church. But if you're in the Bay Area, specifically if you're in Berkeley, please be sure to join us on Sunday. We meet every Sunday at 1:30 p.m., 2515 Hillegas Ave. And in case you forget that, just visit us at emergeberkeley.org, emergeberkeley.org, and you'll find more about us. In fact, if you Google Emerge Berkeley, you'll find us on all different streams, whether it's iTunes or Amazon Music, Spotify. We're all over. Just search Emerge Berkeley, and you'll find more about us, our sermons, um, our events that are happening in our church. We'd love to be a part of your journey in your Christian walk. And so until next time, God bless you and have a great week.